Before taking on a job like this, recognize that I am not a professional, nor do I care to be. There are two things that you may need to focus on before starting this job. One is sanity. Sanity and beer certainly make this job go better. And if sanity and beer don't work, just recognize you're screwed. Hire a professional.
Due to the magnitude of effort of this particular job, I wanted to recommend 2 beers for this job. You see, the first beer is Paulaner Salvatore Double Bock. That's your daily keep you going beer through this particular job. Now, as you get toward the end of the day, you're going to want to pop a top on this Chimay Grand Reserve Ale. Okay, so I've been working on fixing my toilet today because the wax seal underneath the toilet showed that it wasn't sealing anymore. The toilet was not solid on the foundation, on the base. So I pulled it off and found that the metal ring had totally and absolutely disappeared.
Where, if I wanted to. So, doing research, I find this web page shows a nice picture of the way that the toilets are engineered and designed, and you'll see that the toilet flange sits on top of the floor surface, and the toilet bowl then sits on top of the floor surface, and the gap between here is where your wax ring is designed to go. Originally, put the tile to where the toilet flange mounted absolutely flush with the top of the tile. They put a 3x4 on the outside of the 3-inch drain pipe. Now, they glued it really, really good. I cut it into sections and then tried to bust it off of the 3-inch pipe. In doing so, the 3-inch pipe busted, at least the edges, you see. And so now I'm stuck with the notion that I have to get down to exactly the right depth to be able to put a coupling on it, and then my flange. So I'll cut the end of the pipe off, flush, square, whatever, before I actually mount a flange. But I got about another 1.5 inches to go with busting out this concrete. I'm using a good old concrete chisel. Went down to Home Depot and bought one, having to use it by hand. I got a good old trusty ball peen hammer that's pretty good. And I got my trusty 5-pound sledgehammer.
So here's what I got for a hole. You can see where I finally got it far enough so I can cut the pipe and put a coupling on it.
Alright, so I have squared off the PVC and cleaned it and gotten it ready for the coupling. Coupling. And the 3-inch PVC will go inside my 3x4. So that way I can control the distance here. Now currently my dimension for here is 4 inches. So given that I have 3 inches of actual space between here and roughly here where the existing PVC will mount, I have to cut this off. I had purposely bought a little extra long, and this has 2.5 inches of area here. So in effect, I can remove an inch of this area, allowing this to set down tight on the coupling with PVC holding the two together. Let me show you one of the tricks to cutting large size PVC. When you go to cut, you cut along the line and rotate your PVC. I'm not cutting through the interior wall even, but by rotating it this way, you see I can stay on my line and I don't worry about my blade getting off the line on the backside where I can't see. This way I have absolute control and I stay on my line because I can always see my line right here. The prior cut will keep my blade in the previously cut place and I don't have to worry about my blade walking off. If I was to just cut straight through, I can almost guarantee you that you will not end up with a square cut because your blade will walk off, especially on your backside where you can't see. And I end up with a reasonably smooth cut, which is nice and easy to clean up with my sandpaper, and of course provides for putting on the bevel on the outside real easily. And of course any professional will tell you to test fit your pieces before you glue them together. So let's see what I got. I needed 3 inches. I have 3 1/16 of an inch. So if I take this down by a 1/16 of an inch here to square up my piece, I'll have more of a square fit here, and I will take up that 1/16 of an inch that I don't want to have. So when I glued this together, I took advantage of the bevel that's on the coupling, and I used a plastic squeegee, and I squeegees off any glue that would have been on this top half, because I do not want any interference when I go to install my flange, my toilet flange, on the top part. So I've fashioned a cap to be used over my pipe. So before we install or pour the concrete, we put the cap over the pipe, and this is designed so that I can level the concrete. So I decided to use this quick setting cement to repair or to fill the hole. And here is what the smooth Quickcrete looks like. Now that the concrete is filling the hole, it is an appropriate time to crack open the Chimay Grand Reserve Ale. You see, you have to pour this nice and gently. You don't want bubbling in the bottom. You want a nice smooth pour, because otherwise you get too much head with your beer. Now see, that's a beautiful pour of Chimay Grand Reserve. Right, so we got the flanges mounted. It is sitting, but I have these tapped concrete anchors, and I am going to mount it, pull it down firmly with these anchors. And I'm using water to drill the holes with a concrete bit. Cooling off my bit so I get nice clean holes.